I'm a memory architect, and one of my creations escaped. I build memories for a living. That's not some poetic metaphor, it's my job. I work for a neurotech company called Nemo Corp, one of the only firms in the world licensed to craft and install synthetic memories. We don't rewrite brains. We don't overwrite identities. We lace memories into the natural folds of thought, delicately, like we're adding a drop of dye to an ocean and trusting it'll ripple in just the right pattern. Our clients are the elite, celebrities, politicians, CEOs, trauma survivors with enough money to pay for a cleaner past. You'd be surprised how many people would rather pay to remember a lie than live with the truth. I didn't get into this for noble reasons. I just liked the craft. The architecture of it. Building entire years of someone's life from scratch, birthdays that never happened, dogs that never existed, childhoods without screams. We gave people what they wanted to remember. That's all. But I should have known, memories don't like being tampered with. And sometimes, they remember you back. It began when I was assigned a solo project, which was already against protocol. Normally, we work in pairs, one to architect, one to implement. My partner, Dana, came down with some sort of sudden illness. Bleeding gums, fever, visual distortions. She said it felt like dreams were leaking into her waking life. I laughed it off at the time. Nemo Corp has a high burnout rate. She took medical leave, and I took the project. The client was a novelist, well-known, reclusive, and deeply disturbed. She had experienced something awful in her childhood, something her therapist described only as ritualistic. She wanted us to erase everything before the age of 15 and replace it with a calm, wholesome memory loop she could draw inspiration from. I designed it with care, a peaceful lake house, golden retriever, loving parents who made pancakes on Saturdays. The kind of memory that felt warm even when it rained. But there's a rule in memory design: no memory can be too perfect. The brain won't accept it. So we always include a shadow, something to balance the light. In this case, I placed a small figure across the lake, a silhouette. No details. Just a watcher. Something the dreamer would never interact with, but always sense. A stabilizing anomaly. I called him Mr. Penumbra in the design file. Just a placeholder. Nothing more. But the author never came in for the install. She died the night before. An aneurysm in her sleep. Peaceful, they said. Her memory file was still in the system, unfinished but active. I flagged it for archival. Normally, that's the end, we shut it down, close the loop, and erase the fragments. But the next day, I noticed the simulation was still running. No user connected. No session live. Just running. Learning. Expanding. A self-sustaining memory with no host. I opened it, curious, stupid, and the moment I did, it latched onto me. Not metaphorically. The lake. The house. The dog barking in the distance. The smell of pine and algae and old wood. I was there. Inside it. I knew it wasn't real, but it felt more real than anything I'd experienced in years. I walked to the edge of the dock and stared across the lake. The water was calm. The sun was warm. And across the lake, the silhouette stood perfectly still. Watching. When I snapped out of it, an hour had passed. I had a nosebleed. My fingernails were cracked like I'd been clenching something hard. My terminal was dead. The file, corrupted. I should have reported it. But I didn't. Instead, I started dreaming of that place every night. Not the simulation, not exactly. It began bleeding into my own childhood memories. I'd remember my real parents, but they'd be standing in the lake house kitchen. I'd think back to a college party, but I'd see the lake outside the window. The simulation had infected my memories, not as replacements, but as backgrounds. Like my life was being re-rendered on top of something else. And Mr. Penumbra? He was always there now. A little closer each time. I stopped sleeping. I drank. I screamed at my reflection when it started lagging by half a second. I tried deleting every file, scrubbing every local backup. But the memory had moved. It wasn't in the system anymore. It was in me. One night, I woke up standing on my fire escape, barefoot, staring into the dark alley behind my building. No thoughts. Just a deep stillness. When I came to, I had scratch marks on my palms. Like I'd been resisting something. The next day, I found a note under my apartment door. White paper. Thin black ink. Handwritten. You left the door open. He walked in. No signature. Just those 10 words. That night, I saw him again, not in my dream, not in the simulation, but outside my real window. A man-shaped figure, pitch black, Like something burned into the fabric of the world. No face. No light. Just a silhouette cut from time itself. He didn't move. He didn't wave. He waited. I closed the blinds. I sat on the floor for hours. Every tick of the clock felt wrong, like time was folding around me. My own memories stopped making sense. I'd remember things twice. Or not at all. Entire hours vanished. I tried to call Dana, but she didn't pick up. I found out later she had gone missing. No sign of forced entry. Just her clothes still in the dryer, phone on the counter. A single sticky note on her monitor. He doesn't stay in simulations anymore. I think Mr. Penumbra wasn't just a figment. I think he was waiting for a door. And I built him one. I gave him a world, and he used it to bleed into ours. Maybe he was always real. Maybe he's been hiding in the memories we forget, the flickers in our dreams, the faces we swear we saw behind glass. A presence with no past. Only a gaze. Watching. Always watching. I don't know how long I've got. My calendar looks normal, but I keep seeing red blocks at 3:13 a.m., even when I don't create them. I'm scared to sleep. Scared to remember. But the worst part is, I think I already installed him into someone else. Another client. Another house. Another memory. If he spreads, we won't even know it. Because he's not loud. He doesn't scream. He just waits until you're ready to remember him. And then he remembers you back. That line used to be just poetic paranoia. Something I muttered to myself as I disconnected cables, shut down terminals, erased logs, burned old sketches and diagrams in the bathroom sink. But now it feels like prophecy. I think Mr. Penumbra has always existed, not as a person, not even as an entity, but as a memory virus so old that it predates language. He doesn't exist in the real world. He exists in the space between memory and recognition. You don't see him until he sees you seeing him. Then the loop begins. The simulation doesn't need power anymore. I'm not sure it ever did. It's running inside me. I've been dreaming of the lake house for weeks now, but it's no longer static. It's evolving. The lake is gone now. Dried up. The dock hangs over a pit, black and endless. The sun never rises. There are more buildings, twisted echoes of homes I've seen before but never entered. The dog is gone. The house creaks even when there's no wind. And behind every window, I see him. Mr. Penumbra. Sometimes in silhouette. Sometimes more formed. Like memory giving him texture. A ribcage. Joints. A glint where his eyes might be, not glowing, just reflecting back the parts of me I wish I hadn't remembered. I once asked out loud, inside the dream, "What are you?" He responded, but not with sound. Instead, I saw every forgotten moment of my life play in reverse, every time I left the stove on, every time I misplaced a name, every familiar face I saw on the street and couldn't quite place. He is what lives in the edges of your memory. He is the misfire in your recall. He doesn't create false memories. He inhabits the ones you ignore. I woke up with the taste of algae in my mouth and scratches all over my forearms. The back of my neck had a pattern of dots, not bites, but more like a symbol, something geometric burned into the skin. Like a QR code etched in scar tissue. I went to a mirror to photograph it and realized my reflection wasn't synced. Not just delayed, off. I smiled. It didn't. I turned my head. It kept staring forward. I haven't looked in a mirror since. I'm afraid next time it might blink before I do. A week ago, I visited the Nemo Corp offices one last time. The place was gutted. Our team disbanded. Most of the staff vanished. I'm not being dramatic, I mean literally missing. Phones disconnected. Apartments emptied. One guy was found in a hospital with total memory loss. Didn't remember his name. But when I showed him a printout of the lake house image, he began to cry blood. I didn't wait for answers. Back home, I began to lose time. I don't mean forgetting what day it was. I mean I'd blink and hours would pass. I'd hear my own voice talking on calls I didn't make. I'd find unfamiliar fingerprints on my coffee mug. My apartment changed, too, walls a little wider, shadows staying longer. And my calendar filled itself with strange phrases. Session 421, Observing Architect. Session 422, Mimicry Successful. Session 423, Internal Override Scheduled. I think Mr. Penumbra isn't just inside my head anymore. He's becoming me. I catch myself speaking in voices I don't recognize. I'll go to write something and find entire sentences already typed, my fingers still on the keys. Last night, I found a note tucked under my pillow. Final transfer begins tonight. Do not resist. I didn't sleep. I sat in the bathtub with the lights off, door locked, and my phone in airplane mode. But I still felt it. The house rearranged itself. The air thickened. My pulse slowed. A pressure built behind my eyes like I was being unzipped from the inside out. At 3:13 a.m., I blacked out. When I came to, it was morning. I was on the roof. My hands were stained with ink. Across the sky, written in massive letters I have no memory of writing. You can only build what you're willing to become. I know now what the simulation was. It wasn't just a dreamscape or a neural hallucination. It was bait. A clean place. A structure. A home, not for people, but for something old and shapeless that needed walls to inhabit. Memory is just architecture. And I built him a palace. Now he's remodeling me. If you've read this far, I need you to understand something. This isn't just a story. It's a warning, but not the kind that keeps you safe. You've already been infected. Because that's how he spreads. Not through bites. Not through wires. Through awareness. Through the act of remembering something you shouldn't. That tickle in the back of your brain? That old dream you can't quite place? That word on the tip of your tongue you've never spoken aloud? He's in there. Waiting. And if tonight you see something standing across your street, something perfectly still, without detail, just a man-shaped silhouette that doesn't blink, don't wave. Don't move. Don't even think. Because if he sees you, if he knows you've remembered, he'll start remembering you back. And then, like me, you'll understand the truth. You didn't read this story. You recalled it. And you always have.